In today's video, we are all about speed. What we are talking about is how to gain more speed with your driver, with your irons, and how to effectively get more distance by swinging the club faster. A lot of golfers try to be very fast from the top of their swing. They are putting a lot of force here. All this does is throwing the club out behind them, which results in these over-the-top casting swings, and it's just a waste of power. Where we want force is down lower in our downswing and through the golf ball. Right? We don't need to be fast up here. We need to be fast down here. So that's one part of it, is obviously sequencing. We need to have correct sequence. And I've made videos on sequence before. I'm not going to cover sequence in this video because we're going to talk about a specific concept, and that is you need to slow down to speed up. So what happens in the golf swing is we don't continuously move our arms and our hands and our body for that matter at the same speed for the entire downswing. So from here all the way through here, our levers and our body parts are not continuously moving at the same rate of acceleration. What actually happens is there's a transfer of power, and each body part slows down to then transfer that power to the next. So what this looks like is that from the top of our backswing, when we have then transitioned our pressure, we then start to push into the ground, which starts the power sequence up through our leg. This has then done all it needs to do. That extension of the leg then makes our hips and our torso start to rotate, which then stops to allow our arms to start accelerating through. And right around when our hands get down to club parallel with the ground, for reference, our arms and hands start to slow down to allow that transfer of speed to go to the club head. All right. Our hands and arms don't keep moving all the way through. That's dragging the club through impact. They slow down to speed up the club head. The feeling that you will have is that you are stopping your swing here. And it's actually a really fantastic drill to try and stop as fast as you can after impact. Let me just demonstrate this for you. So if I just rotate through and move everything at the same rate through the whole swing, there's not a lot of speed there. There probably wasn't even much sound of the club head whooshing on the microphone. But now let's see what happens if I apply the proper braking forces and try and stop my hands, just that simple feeling, stop my hands as fast as I can after impact. All right, you can hear that big difference, and it's really hard to do to make yourself stop. If you aren't doing that, it's going to feel really odd to start with, but this is where our club head speed comes from. All right, and it's not just applicable to driver, it's also applicable to our irons, and it doesn't just help with speed, it helps us properly with releasing the club head into the ball. If you are trying to just hold on and drag the handle all the way through, one, it's not consistent for controlling your strike and your shot shape, but two, you're also losing a ton of speed. By doing it with an iron as well, you're properly allowing that head to accelerate through the ball and to naturally release the club. You're not forcing it by rolling it, you're not dragging it through, you're just allowing that club to travel on the plane that it wants to and accelerate through the ball. So there's three stages to how we're going to feel this in our swing. First, we're going to start off with a head cover. We're going to get that feeling of braking by throwing a head cover into the ground. We're then going to transition it into a club. All right, we're going to try to do some one arm swings with our lead hand only to feel what it's like to let that club head accelerate through whilst braking with the hands. And then three, we're going to transition that into a feeling for our proper swing on how we can then hit shots and gain that speed. So first things first is grab a head cover in your lead hand. And I say lead hand because it helps us to more effectively sling the club head through. If you're trying to hit it with your trail arm, it's not as effective as trying to use the proper levers and to pull the club through impact. So grab the head cover in your lead arm. The goal is to throw the head cover in front of the ball in this first small portion of space, right? So you're not trying to throw the head cover all the way down the fairway. You're trying to throw it in the first foot or two in front of the ball. And this is great because what it helps you to do, to be able to throw the head cover in front of the ball, you have to break at the appropriate time. If I just kept accelerating through, the head cover is going to go flying all the way out there. That's not what we're trying to do. To effectively throw the head cover here in front of the ball, our arm breaks here to transfer that force through the head cover into the ground. It's the thought and where we're applying that effort to try and throw. Look where I've finished. My hand has stopped pretty fast. That's the goal, to stop as fast as you can. And I haven't gone into a big wild follow through. I have broken appropriately and posted up on this lead side naturally, all by just trying to throw a head cover in front of the ball. So practice that as a drill. Get that feeling down of what it's actually like to just naturally start applying the brakes. And then we're going to carry that thought over to the ball. So we're going to have the exact same feeling of how we threw the head cover in front of the ball. We're going to try and do that with the club as well. Now, we're doing this with our lead arm only again, but you're allowed to rest the club in your trail hand just for some support. We're only going halfway back, and I want you to just get that pressure already into your lead leg. And now just try and throw that club through with the lead arm, but try and stop your hands as fast as possible after impact. You want to feel like you are stopping here. Feel like you're stopping your hand in your lead pocket. So get forward, have the club on your trail hand for support, and try and stop as fast as possible. It's really hard to do, but you'll start to get a proper feeling of what it's like to actually let the club accelerate as opposed to dragging it through impact. Right? You'll start to feel and you'll start to hear the extra speed that you're now going to get. And then we want to transfer that into hitting shots. So that same concept of braking as fast as we can after impact, we're going to take that in to our practice shots. So just again, making some half swings, but really try and go fast and stop as fast as you can after impact. Again, we're not being fast up here. We're trying to throw the club head through the ball like we were throwing the head cover in front of the ball, and we want to stop our hands as fast as possible, applying the brakes to speed up the club head. Practice this. That's the feeling that we want to have, and now we're going to carry that feeling into hitting a shot. Practice that sequence. First with a head cover, then just with a lead arm to get that feeling, and then carry it into the shot. The only trigger that you should be thinking about is stop your hands as fast as possible after impact. That's it. We're not telling you to hit a certain position, control certain... No, we're not doing that. You are not trying to guide the club. You're letting the club just go naturally and generating more speed in the process. And I know we're talking about speed with the driver, but practicing this with an iron is really going to help. Do that drill and feel yourself stopping as fast as possible. And then we still can transfer that to the driver. It's the exact same concept. Try to stop as fast as you can after impact, okay? You will start getting a ton more speed, and it will result in more distance, and it will not be big wild shots either. You're letting the club release naturally along its intended path, and you will actually be gaining a lot more control. You can have a lot of freedom to feel now that, you don't have to worry about it doing a big hook, big slice. You can then start to realize that you can throw essentially as hard as you want and stop as hard as you want with that hand to create that speed, and not have to worry about these big curvatures because we're not steering the club. We're letting go and it's releasing naturally through the ball. So we'll hit a punch shot with the driver doing this. I'm not going to do a big full swing. I'm going to make a half swing and try and stop the club as fast as possible after impact. Give it a try for yourself. It's a really just a concept change about where speed comes from and how to naturally feel it. Just remember, you need to slow down to speed up. Not everything is moving at the same speed. Your body and your hands slow down to allow the club to accelerate through the ball. We're not just trying to rotate and turn as hard as we can through the entire shot. That's not going to work. That's not how you're going to get consistency, and it's not how you're going to get a ton of speed either. Give this drill a try. Try out that sequence. Start feeling what it's like to properly apply the brakes to speed up that club head and start gaining some more distance. I hope you like this one. Please like the video, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.